Let's enter the universe known as Jill Kinsey, shall we? Her talk tonight is for anyone looking for more connection to their bodies and their souls, and not just more connection, a greater connection. Jill has a very long list of degrees, training, certifications, from science to astrology to existential kink, and has even worked as your local cat trainer. She is a lifelong learner who is most proud of her commitment to growth in all areas of her life, now including speaking on stage. You may have seen Jill in the spotlight before, either leading her group, Stone Soup Circles, to showcase creativity in our community, or perhaps as part of the local burlesque scene here for over 15 years. For the first time, let's hear Jill speaking about her own story and how she came to be the leader she is, a spark from the dark. Jill Kinsey.
Have you ever been screamed at by your higher self? Let me tell you about a time that I was, and it completely changed my life. So about 8 years ago, I was in a majorly depressive state. I was coming off a string of bitter personal job rejections, dealing with the trauma of a public sexual and physical assault that had been ignored by law enforcement. I had all of these new health issues popping up, including an autoimmune disorder. And not only that, my worst fear had come true. My teenage daughter was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, which is a lifelong and a life-threatening illness, and there was nothing that I could do to help her. I found myself in my early 40s, and life had not turned out the way that I expected it to. I was just kind of lost and drifting, frozen in confusion on where to go next. One morning, shortly before the holidays, I received some shocking news. My now estranged 19-year-old daughter told me that she was 18 weeks pregnant. Rather than being excited about the prospect of a new baby, as most people would be, I was devastated. I had all of these fears running through my head on loop. How was my daughter possibly going to handle being a parent when her own life was in such disarray? My intuition told me that I was going to have to take on this child, and it crushed me. See, I had been a mom for a long time up to that point. I had a 23-year-old son, and I still had a 9-year-old daughter at home, and I did not want to raise another baby. This event triggered my darkest dark night of the soul moment. I became suicidal. I completely lost my sense of self, my purpose, my self-worth. I lost interest in things that I used to love doing, like socializing and creating artwork. I stopped cooking, cleaning, even going out of my house. Rather than participating in life, I was barely existing. And the weight of all of this left me feeling like I had nothing and no one left to live for anymore, especially not myself. So here I was, wasting days away on my couch, disassociating by scrolling through my phone and reading books online. I had just been told that the baby coming was a boy. And again, rather than excitement, I felt terror in my body. A book came across my recommended list called The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And I read it. It was beautiful. It reminded me that life is actually about the journey and not the destination. And it kind of gave me permission to just be exactly where I was at. And I figured that since I'm here anyways in this darkness, I might as well explore it a little bit, get comfy in it. So I started to look deep inside myself with curiosity rather than judgment. For the first time ever, I gave full allowance to all of the things that had brought me to this point. I'm not gonna lie, it was deep and it was dark. I found all of my broken hopes and dreams, all of my failures at the bottom of that pit. So one day I'm sitting quietly in meditation, just surrounded by my infinite darkness, silently letting tears fall down my cheeks, when suddenly I saw a spark, a flash go off like the flick of a lighter in the depths of my mind, and then I heard a disembodied voice scream out, "Remember who the fuck you are!" Well, okay, hello, me? I'd had some aha moments up to my life in this point, but this was a literal command. So with nothing else to do except start to remember. Once upon a time, I used to love my life. I was vibrant and zesty, silly, kind, bodacious, and brave, and I had so much to offer the world. I started to think about my grandson on the way, and I knew that I wanted to meet him. Something told me that he's going to need me, and I wanted to be here for him in this life. I realized that I didn't actually want to die, but I couldn't live like this anymore. I needed change, and in that moment, something monumentally shifted for me. So now what? I figured I'm going to be the queen of this darkness and alchemize this shit. Hey, I had nothing left, so I had nothing left to lose. First things first, I needed to get up off of that couch. So I turned on some fun music and I started boogieing my way back to joy and playfulness again. You know what? My body felt so much better getting movement and exercise than it ever did sitting on the couch. I used Happy Sense in my diffuser to lift my mood. I sat in the sunshine for a bit every day and tried to get out in nature as much as possible. I gave myself laughter and orgasms, and I started to pay attention to the way that the foods that I ate made me feel. During this time, I learned many things that kept my nervous system regulated, and I started to trust my body again and follow its lead. Pretty soon, I actually started to feel better. And I thought that maybe since what I had done for myself had worked, that maybe what I learned could help other people too. And I decided to start my own business and never again let anyone else be in charge of my worth. I invented my own modality that I called burlesquercise, and I began offering classes around town. Suddenly, I was creating and memorizing 60-minute choreographed dance lessons, which was something that I had never before done in my life. I was just amazed that my brain and my body could learn these new tricks. I started looking around at my relationships with honesty to see where I was still people-pleasing or keeping myself smaller for the comfort of others, and I decided never to do that again. So I started showing up more authentically me, which is, of course, more fabulous, more badass. Naturally, the people that could not hold my bigness fell away, which still hurt, but it gave space to draw healthier, better aligned friendships my way. I also learned that boundaries are my friend. Boundaries show others that I honor and respect myself and them enough to be in honest relationship. I realized that I had spent so much time trying to do everything perfectly. Decades of masking, trying to be nice, trying to control the way that other people perceived me. And guess what? It never worked. My feelings got hurt over and over again because we have no control over the way that other people see us at all. And that was a big one for me. Pretty soon, I was in a brand new place in life. All of these new self-development tools started rolling in, like somatic experiencing and existential kink shadow work. My partner, family, and I began growing and healing together, which led to better communication and a calmer, happier home life. I think I found true embodied self-love for the first time ever. And all of this hard work paid off when my grandson came to live with us at the age of 2. It was paradoxically the worst and the best thing that could have happened, and we rolled with it. I knew that I did not have to go back to that dark place again unless I wanted to, and we adapted. Things aren't perfect, life never is, and old shadows still rear their heads, especially as my grandson gets older. Like when he first started school, I used to feel shame or embarrassment, wondering if or when to tell people, he's not actually my son, he's my grandson. But how silly. I have nothing to be embarrassed about, and shame has no place in my new life. Nowadays, I just tell people, new people, our relationship right off of the bat. My grandson has lived with us for 4.5 years now. My days look a lot differently than I expected them to at almost 50 years old, full of play dates and therapies and taekwondo lessons. But I choose to keep going, no matter what, even when I'm tired, I'm so tired, or overwhelmed, or just crazy busy. We play, we snuggle, we laugh together every day. My new perspective has uplifted and changed the course of my life, and his life too. I can honestly say that my life is better now, including having custody of my grandson. So this is what happens when your higher self screams at you, and you listen.